Hello, Chicago! Welcome in to another episode of Chi-Town Weekly here on IE Sports Radio. We have got a lot to get through. We made it. The NFL draft happened. We survived. We got through it. 3 days of nerding out over this guy going here and this trade happening there. Man, there were a lot of trades too. 43 trades. Woo! But we survived. And we have got players to break down now. So much to get through. We are going to talk about all 10 of the newest Bears. Who do we like? Who do we not like? What can we expect? What do we think might happen with them? So much to get through. So much so that I could possibly just keep this all to myself. No, we are going to be hearing lots of different voices on the show tonight. We are going to be hearing from lots of different people from the IE Sports Radio family, other show hosts here throughout the network, some of hosts from our sister station, USRN. Lots of stuff going on. Some of it recorded, some of it live. Lots of great stuff intact for you on deck. This is going to be a great show. We also are it for IE Sports Radio tonight, so we've got room to stretch our legs a little bit. This is Chi-Town Weekly. Buckle it up, everybody. Let's go. Hello and good evening, everyone. Once again, I am your host, Adam Karnick. Thank you so much for joining us here tonight. Post-NFL Draft edition of Chi-Town Weekly. So much to go through. 10 new players on the Chicago Bears roster. Of course, Darnell Wright kicks it off with the first pick at number 10. We will be discussing that trade as well. And then 9 other players. Lots of defense. I've got thoughts, obviously, on each of the players that the Bears took, but I've got thoughts, too, on the strategy that Ryan Poles was demonstrating as well. And this is going to be a very full show. I mean, we always cram a lot into this hour. No, you're going to be hearing lots of different voices tonight on the show. You're not going to be hearing just from me. We've got some segments, some thoughts from some various other hosts on the network. You're going to hear from Corey Pujols. He is the host of Palm Tree Sports on Saturday evenings. We will hear a little bit from him. Larry B is going to stop by, the czar of all things IE Sports Radio. He's going to stop by and spend some time with us tonight. He's also the host of 3 and Out College Edition with Taryn Rodriguez during college football season. They break down lots and lots and lots of college tape. So Larry is very familiar with a lot of these players, especially towards the bottom of the draft. Mike Patt of Let's Whine About DMV Sports, he's going to stop by, and he's also going to help us break down some of those bottom tier players that the Bears took. We're even going to hear from one of our sister stations, Seth Eaves from USRN. He does play-by-play and color commentary over at USRN, and he has covered a lot of Tennessee games, and he is a diehard volunteer fan. So he knows a lot about Darnell Wright. He was kind enough to share some thoughts on the Bears' number 1 overall pick. So you are going to be hearing a lot of different voices on the show tonight. I am super excited to get this show underway for you and to let you experience what we've got in plan tonight. This should be a lot of fun. These are the kind of episodes that I really look forward to doing. I hope that you enjoy it as much as I enjoy putting it together. All right, before we get too much further and before we get too into the weeds on everything here, we do, of course, need to do our homework here at Chi-Town Weekly. IE Sports Radio has been around now for almost 9 years, and we have been bringing you amazing content, ranging from interviewing legendary athletes to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. All the while, we've continued to be by the fans, for the fans, and with your help, we are ready to take the next step. When you go to our website, iesportsradio.com, you'll see our Patreon link with 5 different tiers. The first one starting at just $5 a month. This donation gets you a shout-out on every one of our shows. Higher tiers include IE Sports Radio merchandise, access to our podcasting university, and even a chance to be featured on a segment of our flagship show, The Defining Moment. Thank you all very much for continuing to make IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports. And thank our Patreon supporters right now, Barrier Raised, Emlos Great, Key to the Gate, and Anonymous. IE Sports Radio is available for you on all the major social platforms: TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Search at IE Sports Radio. This show is also available for you on Twitter. You can find it at IESRC. And I am also available for you on Twitter. I am at Adam_Karnick. And if you are listening live here tonight on Monday night, hop on into the chat room in Spreaker. Larry is there. Taryn is here. Taryn is going to be in and out a bit. He's working on an article, and he's got some other obligations tonight. In fact, there won't be Set Point tonight. Set Point is going to be tomorrow afternoon. Do I have that right, Taryn? Tomorrow afternoon around 4 o'clock Central Time. Does that sound right? He'll let us know in there. So Taryn's there. Larry, he's going to be hopping on and joining us shortly here in about 10, 15 minutes or so. He's going to be joining the show a little bit, but he's in the chat room as well. So hop on into the chat. We can interact and have some fun that way. Or if you're listening later on as a podcast, or if you just want to sit back and listen to me that way, thank you for being here. I really do appreciate it and appreciate you making time in your busy week for this show and for what we do. I really appreciate that. All right. So the draft. All the buildup, all the hype, all the everything that we have going on from it. And it finally came down. First of all, we had the Panthers select Bryce Young. I ultimately got that pick correct when I was going through. It's not who I would have picked, but we got that. It went basically what most people thought it was going to do until former Illinois, you had the young man from Illinois, the young corner from Illinois kind of shaking things up. Devin Witherspoon at 5 shaking things up. But where it got really exciting to me was we were watching and it was, Jalen Carter's falling. Jalen Carter is falling. He got past the Lions. He got past the Raiders. Oh my goodness, how did this happen? He's sitting there. He's there at 9. Pujols, take him. Oh, they traded to 10? Okay. All right. Well, that means you gave up on Jalen Carter, and sure enough, he went to the Eagles, but you got a future 4 out of it? Okay. And then Darnell Wright. This is as good a spot as any to start, and then we'll dive into each of the players. I do want to discuss how it was viewed, how the draft was viewed as a whole, too, for the Bears. I've got to be true and honest, I think, here. I try to do that all the time for what it's worth, but especially right here, right now. I wanted Jalen Carter. I think I was pretty straightforward about that. I hope I wasn't vague on that. I wasn't trying to be vague on that. I was very high on Jalen Carter. But I know the guy and the football player, you had to separate a little bit. Jalen Carter, the football player, is exactly what the Bears needed. But there were question marks about whether Jalen Carter, the young man, was what the Bears needed. And Ryan Poles did a lot of background on him. They did a lot of vetting of him, they did interviews with Carter. They talked with his coaches. They talked with some of his teammates. They did their due diligence on Jalen Carter. And I had said ahead of the draft that if they come away from that feeling like Carter's not the guy, then you can't take him. You know, if you come away from all those meetings and all that due diligence and we don't feel comfortable about taking him, then you have to let him go. And that's exactly what happened. They did their due diligence. They came away with a feeling and an opinion that Jalen Carter needed a different environment. He needed structures in place that the Bears don't currently have. You look at what the Eagles have. First of all, they've got a ton of his teammates. Guys that are already established in the NFL. Plus, they took a ton of his fellow draftees this year. My gosh, I think we're going to start calling them the Philadelphia Bulldogs now. But that's going to provide some structure and some accountability that right now I don't think would exist in the Bears organization. The Bears don't have a lot of veterans. They don't have a lot of established guys who Jalen Carter can look at and say, that guy's been where I'm trying to go. I should hang out with him. You know, the Bears don't have a lot of that. They're very young, very hungry. And Jalen Carter apparently needs more than that. So as much as it pains me to see that they passed on Jalen Carter, because Jalen Carter, the football player, is exactly what they need. A dominant 3 technique that would just destroy opposing offensive linemen on his way to the quarterback. You also have to recognize if a young man isn't going to be right in your organization, if the organizational fit isn't there, and for one reason or another, it wasn't, it appears it will be there in Philadelphia. So as much as it pains me, I have to accept what I said before the draft, that trust Poles. Poles has done his due diligence, and if he came away from this deciding Carter wasn't the guy. So I have to trust Ryan Poles. All right, now for Darnell Wright. Darnell Wright is a big, big, big boy. And I'm going to start this off with this reminder. We'll probably come back to it again, as I've said all throughout the Make Your Case segments that we did, all the talking about the different guys there, that I subscribe to the Hubbard-ish school of thinking that in a typical draft, you want to come away with 2 starters. Somebody, your first round pick, you really want to be a starter, and then somebody else. Well, Darnell Wright is going to be a starter at right tackle. 21 years old, 6'5", 345 pounds. To give us a little bit of a scouting report now, this is recorded ahead of time. This is Seth Eaves from our sister station, USRN. He does play-by-play and color commentary for all kinds of sporting events, including college football. And Seth is also a diehard Tennessee Volunteers fan. Here are some of his thoughts on Darnell Wright. Have a listen.
Darnell Wright out of the University of Tennessee, and Bears fans, you are getting a huge, and I do mean huge, piece of help for your dynamic young franchise quarterback in Justin Fields. 6'5", 333, was a key part of the offensive line, which helped produce the best offense statistically in college football. For the most part, kept Hendon Hooker upright and gave him plenty of time to find his receivers going down the field. He has been amazing. He stuck it out, too. He's not going to give up at the first sign of adversity. You have to remember he was a freshman in 2019, back when Jeremy Pruitt was still at Tennessee. Could have left in 2020 when everybody else did, but he stayed on. When Josh Heupel came in, he started all 13 games, went back to the right side of the offensive line this year, and all he was a first-team all-conference selection in the best conference in the United States. Darnell Wright, good blocker, good beef, and that's going to be huge for Justin Fields. It's a great pick by the Bears. I know it might not be the sexy pick, but it's a smart pick because you want to keep that franchise quarterback of yours protected for sure. So obviously, for multiple reasons, I love the pick, and I hope Darnell Wright is very successful in Chicago with the Bears. I think it's an excellent pick, and we'll see if I'm proven right or if I'm wrong. But either way, Darnell Wright is now a Chicago Bear, and I think Justin Fields should be pretty thankful for that.
All right, nice breakdown there from Seth Eaves of our sister station USRN. He said it's not a sexy pick. Sexy is in the eye of a beholder. I said this about the Tevin Jenkins pick. Was that 2 years ago? A year ago? 2 years ago, I guess. I'm getting things confused. I like a little nasty in my offensive tackles. Watching tape of Darnell Wright, there's some nasty in his game. He gets into it with opposing defensive linemen. He is not afraid to get his hands dirty. He's not afraid to maul some guys. And you watch some of his tape. I know Pro Football Focus had a feature where he was their lowest graded run blocker for a first-round tackle in something like 8 years. So that is concerning because historically, the right tackle is your better run-blocking tackle than the left tackle. But at the same time, anymore, defenses, they move pass rushers around. If you're the weak link on the offensive line, guess where the pass rush is going to come from? And Darnell Wright can pass block with the best of them. 0 sacks allowed this past season. And that's in the SEC. That's going up against Will Anderson, who was the top premier pass rusher in this class. That's going up against B.J. Ojulari from LSU. I just butchered his last name. The kid from LSU. I'm sorry, Arthur. Host of Bayou Bulletin. I know I just butchered that name. That's going up against premier college pass rushers, guys that he will see, and talent level that won't be that different from what he's seeing on Sundays. Obviously, he'll be seeing more of it on Sundays than he would on Saturdays, but he's got the pedigree. He's stood up to it. He's got the flash there. I like the pick. Yes, drafting an offensive lineman is never sexy. It's never, woohoo, we got a tackle, yay. But it's a huge foundational piece for where this is going. And we talked before the draft how we hoped that Ryan Poles would be addressing the line. Of course, him being a former offensive lineman, you know he'd be addressing that. but also addressing the defensive line. And that leads us into our second pick, the first of 2 second-round picks that he made. And for this, of course, a young defensive tackle, Gervon Dexter, out of Florida. Gervon Dexter. And to give us a little bit of a scouting report on him, I turn to IE Sports Radio colleague Corey Pujols. He is the host of Palm Tree Sports on Saturdays at 5 o'clock. You can catch him right here. And he is a big Florida Gators fan, but he also covers Florida for us here on the network. And he had some thoughts for us about Gervon Dexter.
Hey everybody, good evening. My name is Corey Pujols. I cover Palm Tree Sports Radio for those who are familiar with the IE Sports Radio branch. And Adam, thank you for having me on the show. It's a pleasure to be here and be able to give you guys a quick education on who your draft selection was in Gervon Dexter Jr. So he is a defensive tackle. He's from Florida, so he's actually native to the state. Went to University of Florida, had a tremendous career there, starting at defensive tackle for us. And, you know, he's a big guy at 6'6", 313 pounds, so you get a lot of width and height with him, which is something that pays dividends in today's league, especially when you look at some of the top defenses out there. Now, as a starter for the University of Florida, he was very good at getting in the backfield. He's a tremendous run stopper. His ability to shut down things before they begin is a tremendous asset that he has, especially with that frame that he possesses. And he's deceptively fast in that regard, which also helps him get to the quarterback at times, you know, should the opportunity presents itself. He's a big and powerful guy. And what I mean by that is he uses his weight very well, driving his strength from his legs through to his arms. He has a very good technique that you'll see. I wouldn't be surprised if he earns a starting position, especially with the coaching, you know, changes from college to pros. He's going to get even more tips and more ways to be better at the line, and then that means better for your defense. And you know, the most important thing I would say about him that you don't necessarily see on every down is how good he is with his hands. So he's unusually good with his hands for a man his size. And what I mean by that is getting his hands up to bat passes down, collecting interceptions off of tip balls, forcing fumbles, getting to the quarterback, you know, and you know, eliminating the process or possibility of him throwing the ball away. These are all assets that are possessed by some of the best defensive tackles in all of, you know, in all of football, you know, whether it be college, pros, you know, and other leagues. So guys, I look forward to seeing what you're able to do with him. He's a tremendous athlete, as I mentioned, and I just hope that you guys, you know, really get the most out of him. And in return, I hope that you guys treat him well. So congratulations to Gervon Dexter Jr., congratulations to Chicago Bears, and thank you again, Adam, for having me on the show. And there you go, guys. Have a wonderful evening, okay?
Again, that was Corey Pujols of Palm Tree Sports. Big thank you to both Seth and Corey for sending those in ahead of time. I kind of came up with this idea for the show this afternoon, so thanks to some excellent teammates for coming through and giving us some stuff there, because I feel that gives you guys a little bit more insight on some of these guys. 21 years old, 6'6", 310, out of Florida. Dexter, I think there's some question on which tackle spot he'll be. He was a terrific run stopper at Florida, a little raw with his pass rushing, so he might wind up playing the over tackle, the one technique, if you will, before doing the three technique thing. But it's a nice pickup, somebody who certainly, and I know Larry's in the chat paying attention. He's going to join us here in the show momentarily, and there's somebody else that I'm about to bring in too into the show here momentarily. But Larry, I want to get your idea of this thought. Gervon is one of those guys that he might be out there for the first defensive snap, but I don't know that he'll necessarily be a starter. If we can understand the difference there between the two, but I want to get some outside opinions on that thought. And speaking of some outside opinions, I now want to bring in somebody into the show that has been a long time member of IE Sports Radio, somebody who is frequently in this chat. I am frequently in his. We wind up having some friendly banter back and forth in other people's chats from time to time. You can hear him on Friday nights now on IE Sports Radio with a beverage in one hand and a microphone in the other. The host of Let's Whine About DMV Sports, Mike Patt. Mike, I'm afraid I can't offer you a beverage tonight, sir, but how are you doing?
I'm doing well, sir, and do not worry, I have one of my own.
Oh, perfect. What are we drinking tonight?
So tonight we are drinking, for those of you that tuned in to Let's Whine About DMV Sports this past Saturday, we are drinking the leftovers of the bottle that I opened then, which was a Spanish white wine from Rioja.
Ooh, sounds tasty. I'm going to have to go back and listen to your last episode on Life. I missed it, unfortunately, but I'm going to have to go back and listen to that one now. Ooh, I like it. So, as we dive in here, as we're getting now into some of the more meat and potatoes of the Bears draft, first of all, I kind of came up with this idea this afternoon, but does this make as much sense as I think it does? The idea that, especially on defense, you can be out there for the first play, but not necessarily a starter. Is that an okay idea, or am I off my rocker there?
Oh, no, you're absolutely right on track with the concept. It's the concept of, does a player play a starter's worth of snaps per se? You don't necessarily look at it, in my opinion, you don't necessarily look at it as, oh, do they come out in the base formation versus the sub package? But like, let's say a team plays 70 defensive snaps in a game. Is that guy out there for 40 to 50 of those snaps, or is he out there for 20 to 30? So no, I think you're right on the point, right on the money with that thought. Is like, yes, you can be out there the first snap of the game in the base formation, but that does not necessarily make you a starter or a full-time player on that defense.
All right, so I'm not as crazy as I think. All right, thank you, Mike. Well, don't answer that question. Don't just let that sit there. Let me bask in my own delusion for a minute. All right, so then, and also joining us, as he has now joined us in the background here, the czar of all things IE Sports Radio, also one half of the team that is 3 and Out College Edition that you can hear. Well, let's see, last season it was on Saturday mornings, getting you ready for college game day. Other times they've been at various times throughout the year. But he is the one, the only, the head honcho himself, Larry B. Larry, how are you doing this evening, sir?
Good evening, Mr. Adam Karnick. Good to see you, brother. Good to see you. I'm repping my high school shirt today, man. I'm feeling a little, high school spiritish. But yeah, man, I am here, ready to rock and roll, feeling great on a beautiful Monday evening over here in Southern California. It's, typical Southern California, 5:30 p.m. and about 530 degrees. So, it's pretty much where we are, So anyway, finally, I'm just kidding. I was going to say the Rock has returned. But anyway, sorry. But no, man, I'm glad to be back here on the show. Thank you so much for having me tonight, brother. Definitely appreciate you. This show is a place that I love to come to because, well, apparently everybody, Adam thinks I am a closet Chicago fan. But I can't deny it too much because I love the weather. I love that city, Chicago. And everybody knows how much I love that deep dish pizza. So I'm saying, good to be back here, brother. Thank you.
Hey, thank you for hopping on. Because I know both of you guys dive into a lot more of the college tape than I'm able to throughout the year. So having a little bit more insight into these guys is really, really helpful for me. And I think also helpful for the audience. So we dive in here now. The second round pick that the Bears made, Tyreek Stevenson out of Miami. I feel like I've mentioned in the past, and I mentioned at the top of the show, kind of one of my ground rules for a draft, assuming you have more than like 3 or 4 picks, Ryan pays, is that you want to come away with 2 starters every year. Your first round guy, and then somebody. Just somebody. It could be 2nd, 4th, 5th, 7th, whatever. I feel like this is another starter here, Tyreek Stevenson. And not just somebody that, okay, they'll be out there because everybody else on the depth chart is barely a living, breathing human being anymore, but somebody who actually is legitimately helps the roster by starting. I feel like Tyreek Stevenson can be that guy for the Bears, can be this second starter. Am I on pace there? Am I on the right track that here's a plug and play across from Jalen Johnson, put him on that island in zone defense, or is he going to need grooming before we're ready to get in there for that? I don't like that look, Larry. I don't like that look.
Sorry, I can't help it. It's
well, no, it means you're going to tell me something that probably means I'm not right, but, you know, all right, tell me I'm wrong. I guess I can be wrong once.
Well, I definitely don't want to cut off our boy Mr. Mike Patt here at all. Trust me, I didn't mean to. I just made the face. I didn't mean to, you know, but I
Oh, no, you made the face, sir. You have to go first now.
Well, I will tell you right now. Look, the kid's amazing. I like what he's got going on. Tyreek Stevenson was, I thought, a pretty damn good pick for these guys. And you know what? It's one of those picks where it was kind of. I mean, let's just be real. And I hate to say this, and I'm sorry, Bears fans, don't kill me. But the Bears needed a lot of things. It was hard. It was hard to screw up the draft. It was. If you're a Bear, it was really hard to screw the draft up because there's just so many needs. You're not necessarily on the Raiders level, but you know, you there's a lot of needs there. So realistically, I feel like this guy right now. If you want the quick and dirty version, honestly, I'm not sure. Adam, he might sit behind Gordon. I don't know if he's gonna. I'm just saying. I don't know.
Okay.
He's a good. Don't get me wrong. He's a very good athlete. But you guys also have Kyler Gordon. He's a few years in. You know, he's I think maybe was it a year or 2 in? If I'm not mistaken.
Gordon he just finished his rookie year. This will be year number 2 for him.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? I feel like he grew a little bit. Washington, he was pretty damn good at Washington. I don't know. He'll compete with Gordon, but I don't know. I just kind of feel like he's there. And Johnson, of course, we know he's not going nowhere. So, I mean, short answer, there's going to be a lot of competition there. But what I do love about the Bears defense and that nasty, amazing attack 43 defense that I love so very much, you can always have that 42 look with the nickel. And I feel like this guy can totally play that type of play, type of roles, the semi-rover. I don't know if they'll do it, but I'm just saying, to me, I kind of feel like if you have 2 guys that can play a corner pretty damn solid, why not? He's a speed package type guy. I don't know. I like him a lot. So I don't know if he's a day 1 starter, Adam. He'll compete, but I really do like what he brings to the table for the Bears.
All right, that's why we bring you there to give us that kind of insight. That's what we need in here. Perfect. Mike, what can you add to us for that?
Well, so here's the thing. The thing is that in today's NFL, cornerback is one of the hardest positions now. Teams are going super pass happy, you know, attack, 3 wide, 4 wide, 5 wide. And now all you have to do is breathe on a receiver wrong and you get called for pass interference. So it's very difficult. It's always been hard for corners to come into the league and instantly impact the team. But now it's exponentially harder because of those added elements. But on that note, Stevenson is more ready than I would say some of the other corners in this draft were to come in right away. And it also goes back to what we just talked about, Adam, and that is that he may not be that corner that's out on the field the first snap, but given how often you have to use sub packages and 3 corners and 4 corners, he is going to play starter level snaps, and he is going to be that guy to be on the boundary opposite of Johnson, which will allow Gordon to cover the slot, which he did so well as a rookie. Now, he does have one added advantage, and this is nothing against Jalen Johnson. Jalen Johnson is a very good corner, but he is not a corner, I feel like, that teams are going to shy away from, that teams are going to necessarily be scared to attack, and that's going to take a little bit of pressure off of Stevenson on that other side. It's not like he's got, say, Richard Sherman, old school Richard Sherman on that other side, that teams are just going to be like, no, we're going to throw it to this guy 87 times a game. So it's not a bad situation for Stevenson to land in. It's just there's always going to be that learning curve with a rookie corner.
There we go. And you guys both brought up how frequently defenses live in those sub packages. The Bears actually last season, far more often than not, started off at a 4-2-5, just had that nickelback out on the field to start the game because, let's face it, most offenses don't start a fullback. They're going to put a third wide receiver out there. You've got to have a nickelback out there as a result, so the nickel is almost a starter. And Kyler Gordon played a lot of nickel, and this does allow him to move into that role perhaps permanently. Not that Gordon can't play outside, but now you might be, hey, your job, Kyler, really focus in on nickel. Yeah, we'll occasionally kick you outside to give somebody a breather or give you a breather if it's like, man, I'm tired of being in with those linebackers. They're driving me insane. Get me away from them. Get me away from them. The dude forgot to put on deodorant this morning. I don't know, something, I would imagine by the end of the second drive, it doesn't matter what deodorant you put on, but
Good one there. Good one. And
I imagine by the fourth quarter, it's all a moot point.
Oh,
yeah.
God, yeah.
No, absolutely. And if I may, Adam, really fast, like as you said, man, and it's a true, trust me, as somebody who played the game at a high level, you know what I mean, especially, coming out of college too, and I played at the level I'm playing at now. Honestly, man, everything is always but a sub package. You have to have guys that are going to be playing. You have to be, if you're playing that 42, 43 type, and there's like NASCAR on the field, you have to be ready to be dropped back to safety. You got to be ready to jump up to linebacker if you're that rover type guy. You got to be willing to play not wide 9 if you're that end. You have to be ready because offense are going to come at you a million miles an hour. So, and also today's game, especially in the pros, Adam, it's all about showing. It's show. Trust me. Even on the field right now with us, it's always about the skies. Show 2, play 3. Show 1, play 2. That's what it's all about. You disguise your coverage. You can't show them anymore. These quarterbacks are too damn smart. So this guy, I feel like that was something he was very good at Miami. So I honestly do feel like he can definitely be useful in that situation.
Perfect. Wonderful. All right. Now I want to go in depth on the next guy that they took and then the rest of the draft. I kind of want to just get an overview from both of you guys. The next one that they took, their third pick, 64th overall, Zach Pickens out of South Carolina. He went 2 out of 3 picks at defensive tackle. And at first glance, thinking is he took a 3 technique and then another 3 technique. What do you guys think Pujols was thinking here? I feel like he's trying to create a rotation and possibly Gervon Dexter plays more nickel as opposed to 3 technique, and then Pickens turns into the 3 technique. Have I got that right? Have I got that backwards?
Well, you definitely have guys with 2 different skill sets right here. Gervon Dexter is just a massive being of a man. He reminds me a lot of, I don't know if you guys remember Raekwon Davis out of Alabama when he came out, just this mammoth behemoth who's going to be in the middle and he's just going to eat blockers all day. That's going to be his job. Pickens, a little bit different, a little bit smaller, only weighed in at the combine at 290. So he's definitely a little bit more of that, using his quickness and his athleticism, which if you look at his combine numbers, they're ridiculous for a man who weighs 290 pounds. Going to use his quickness and his athleticism to create disruption that way, as opposed to just being a powerful behemoth of a man. So I think, yes, he did double down on the same position, but he got two guys with slightly different skill sets that'll complement each other, that can rotate in and out in different situations. So I think it was a good strategy, and also they're two pretty darn good players as well. So you've got that going for you at minimum.
Yeah, to piggyback off of Mike, I loved it. I'm a defensive lineman myself and a linebacker, a front seven. So like I said, man, I'm all for it. If any of those big, nasty monsters that play in that position that nobody wants to play, trust me, nobody wants to play there. Unless you have to be a little bit insane to play in that front seven. You really have to be a little off, because it's a nasty collision every single play. You want contact. You're begging for contact. So with this young man, I love it. Zach Pickens, I thought was awesome. Mike said it absolutely correct. His bench press wasn't the most exciting thing at 22, but still a 4.9 was pretty damn good. His broad jump, very explosive at a 9.8. I mean, the guy he makes up for what he doesn't have in like super duper strength in his length. He makes that up in his athleticism. Yeah, I mean, you definitely did get two guys. So I mean, realistically, you look at Juwan Dexter as well. I mean, realistically, another beastie monster out of Florida. These guys they're going to be in the rotation, because in the NFL and in anything that's higher than high school, you're going to have rotation. You have to have your rotation of guys. So Billings and Justin Jones aren't going nowhere. These guys are going to be, they're going to be rotated. But at the end of the day, Pickens and Dexter, that's like a cleanup hitter right there. I mean, you're going to have these guys who are going to show their dynamics everywhere. You're going to have your 3 technique. They're going to be playing a 0, maybe in that 1 technique, depending on where they're most comfortable, depending on their stance, 4-point, 3-point. You have a very, very, very good plethora of defensive linemen here that I really like with the Bears. And honestly, I feel like that was a very, very good move. Some people may not understand it, but if you really, really love football, I feel like, honestly, that was a very good move.
And 2, the Bears were the 31st ranked run defense a season ago. Both of these guys can stuff the run. Even if nothing else, teams aren't going to be able to just get 6, 7, 8 yards a clip with, I've never heard of this guy running back, like they were last season. All right, now.
Hey, I had him on my fantasy team. Don't you talk smack.
Who was the wide receiver I invented for the Bears last year? Oh, yeah, it was Antonio Guy, so that his jersey could say "A Guy" on the back of it. Because, yeah, the Bears were plagued by random dudes. Either they were running backs destroying them, or they were wide receivers who got alligator arms for them. The Bears were destroyed by random people last year, and hopefully now this will stop that. All right, as we look now, we get into the day 3. I don't want to piecemeal guy by guy here, but we've got Roschon Johnson, Tyler Scott, Noah Sewell, out of little brother of Penei Sewell of the Detroit Lions, nice little divisional rivalry there, Terrell Smith, Travis Bell, Kendall Williamson. Of those guys, for who jumped out to either of you as, ooh, I like him. That was a nice, I like that pickup. Did anybody jump out at either of you? For me, it was Noah Sewell, because what the heck was he doing there in the 5th round? This is a 3rd round prospect, but the Bears are stacked at inside linebacker right now, so I don't know if Sewell's ever going to see the field this year. That was who jumped out for me. But who jumped out for you guys? Go ahead, Mike.
Well, I think probably, aside from Sewell, who also jumped out for me, not only for the name, but to your point, for the skill set, I was surprised as well that he was available in the 5th round. But I got to say, Tyler Scott, out of Cincinnati. You look at this guy, you look at what he did in college, 10 of his 14 touchdowns at Cincinnati were from 30 yards or more. This guy has electric speed. He's an electric athlete. He's a little bit small. He's 5'10", 177 pounds, which still puts him at weighing more than the Commanders' first-round pick. But I digress. I'm not going to talk about that here. I already ranted about that. But this guy is elusive. He is a deep threat. He is experienced with tracking the deep ball. He gives them that added element that maybe they don't necessarily have in their receiving core amongst their other guys. You know, just somebody who can put on the outside and just unleash down the field. And after maybe one or two bombs, teams start to respect his speed and having to account for that. So I thought that was a great value pick. I thought it added a nice element to their receiving core and somebody who could see some flashes very early on in his NFL career.
I like that. The thing that I noticed with Tyler Scott, real quick, and then we'll go to Larry, he reminded me, I go back to what I said when they drafted Darnell Mooney. When you get down into these bottom rounds, everybody's flawed. Your idea is, okay, well, we can coach him, but you want to find something that can't be coached. You can't coach speed. It's either something you have or you don't. Darnell
you cannot
Mooney's
coach a 4-4. You cannot
exactly.
coach it.
So Tyler Scott, he's got that thing that you can't coach. He might only run 2 routes, but you can teach him how to run routes. You can't teach him how to run that fast. Go ahead, Larry.
No, I 1,000. It's a God-given talent. Yeah, it's either you have it or you don't. You can't coach those kind of things. And I guess I love that. Absolutely love that, you guys. Really, really good pick, by the way, there. I'm going to go with somebody that I just hope, doesn't end up on the practice squad super quick or whatever. Because honestly, I love his story. I think this kid is amazing. And personally, gosh damn it, I want to see him do something really good here. He is an absolute, he's a story in my opinion. And I love that. It was hard to get the words out because he hits kind of close to home for me. He's a small school guy. Yeah, I'm talking about 7th rounder. Ladies and gentlemen, the very first player ever picked out of Kennesaw State, Travis Bell. I know. What can I say? I'm sorry. I'm a sucker for the small school guys and everything. But you know what? Damn it. I hope this guy makes this team. I hope he ends up making it. He played extremely, you know what? He played pretty damn good. And why am I even bringing this up or saying this? Because taking a look at this, you guys, the FCS, short and sweet, the Atlantic Sun Conference, Jackson State, Austin Peay, Eastern Kentucky. These guys finished second to last year at 1-4 in the conference. They were absolutely terrible. But you tell me how this guy gets picked up. The guy was incredible. He had 124 tackles, 68 solo. He had 11 sacks. I mean, the guy played pretty damn good. And you know what? At the end of the day, I really do feel that he's awesome. He had 30 reps in the bench press. I get it. He ran a 5.1, but a 32 and a half vert for being his size. I just feel like this guy has they saw something in him enough to pick him. And I really like what he can bring to the table. The guy's got a high motor. He seems to me like that kind of guy that can really just, once you give him a chance, he's never going back. And I really like what he's got. I like what he's got to offer. The guy wants to prove something, and damn it, I love it. So he's everything that the Bears want. He's everything that the Bears are. So get this guy, get him some reps in the previous season. Let him sit, let him do his thing. But honestly, man, I'm excited for this guy, and I want to see him excel. I like this pick.
As soon as you started talking, it's like, Larry's going to pick Travis. He's going to pick Travis. That's going to be his guy. I do think he is bound for the practice squad. I really, and it's, some guys go to the practice squad, not as a punishment, but because, hey, you've got to figure something out, and we can't take the time for you to figure it out while we're out here losing ball games. Some guys go to the practice squad because you've got something. It's not there. We got to shape it. We got to mold it. We got to hammer you a little bit, but it's there. And once we get it, there's a spot for you here. Just keep working with us. And I think Travis is that second guy where you brought up, he's the first player ever out of Kennesaw State to be drafted. He wasn't even invited to the combine. It was his pro day numbers jumped out at the Bears and their area scout and said, this is somebody. He's worth taking a flyer. And that's what the 7th round is all about, is you want to look for the upside. And I do like that. I do think, man, I don't see how he sees the field in the regular season until
he will.
Thanksgiving at least.
Yeah, there's no way. I'm sorry to jump in there,
No.
Adam, but no, you're absolutely right. He's definitely not going to be that day one starter dude, but golly, man, there's something there. And to me, it was just Jesse Owens said it very best. All you need is one chance. Give this guy a chance. Give him a shot. We don't have the AAA and AA and single A and advanced A. We don't have that. We have the practice squad and now the XFL, I guess. So honestly, let him do his thing. And you know what, man, I really hope to see this guy in a few years.
And to your point, I think both of you guys said this. The Bears would not have picked a 6-foot-tall defensive tackle out of Kennesaw State if they had not seen something somewhere where they were like, we got to take a shot at this guy. There could be something special here. Yes, I know we already took 2 defensive tackles, but I mean, they had to have. There's no way you take a guy with that description unless you saw something in your scouting report that was like, hold up, we need to take our shot here.
Both Bears general manager Ryan Poles and assistant general manager Ian Cunningham were both linemen in college, and Poles had a cup of coffee in the NFL. So I'm sure that both of them were seeing just a little bit of themselves when they turned in that card. And it's like, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, that was me. Here's my second shot, if you will. I'm sure there's some of that in there with it. So he'll be an interesting one to watch. The rest of it, I mean, a lot of Bears fans, there was a lot of talk in fan circles about the Bears taking Bijan Robinson at 9, Mr. Mustard Seed at 9. And instead they take his backup. To me, that makes so much more sense. Nothing against Bijan, nothing against Robinson. I'm at a point right now where you don't take a running back in the first round. Just don't do it. Detroit, don't do it. Don't do it. They're so replaceable, and the separation between the guy you take in the first round and the guy that you take in the 7th round is a difference of 50 yards and half a score over the course of a season. It's so little. So I like the Johnson pick in the 4th round. That to me makes more sense of taking a running back. Am I completely off base there, or is there something to that?
No, I don't think you are. I mean, teams have been finding starting running backs on day 3 probably more often than they've been finding them in round 1. In all honesty, I mean, think of all of the great day 3 running backs. One of my all-time favorites, Alfred Morris, out for the formerly Redskins, now Commanders, 1,600 yards as a 6th-round rookie. And I'm sure, going back, you can find tons of James Robinson did great for the Jaguars, undrafted. Arian Foster was a late rounder, an undrafted pick. The list goes on and on. So I don't think you're unfounded. I think what I like about Johnson as well is that he's also has a lot of experience since he was a backup in college. He has a lot of special teams experience as well. So even if, his first season he doesn't, get, 15, 20 carries a game, at least he can help your team out in some way. He doesn't necessarily have to only be a running back. And that's one of the keys with these, day 3 picks is like, okay, if you take a cornerback, which they took a couple, can they help us on special teams right away? If you take an offensive lineman, can they back up multiple spots? If you take a linebacker, can they help on special teams? So finding that and one with your day 3 picks, and they found a guy with at least one and one, because fun fact, I also just learned this. I didn't know this until today. He was a high school quarterback. Roshan Johnson was. So maybe you guys could get a little creative with that as well, with that little added bit also.
Yep, he was originally recruited to Texas as a quarterback, and I believe it was his freshman year they had a need, and so he said, okay, I'll go over to that room and I'll be a running back. He became a running back. And yeah, I hope they don't do this. But yes, you've got that potential wildcat guy. David Montgomery was that guy for the Bears. The few times they would do wildcat, they may have already replaced the wildcat there. Taryn is in the chat room. He first of all, he wanted to give us all his menu for the banquet he's at. He's having mac and cheese and ribs and sausage.
I know.
But he also wanted to remind us about Austin Eckler of another late round running
back.
Oh
my God, yeah.
There's so many.
So many.
How about the guy that, and I must sound like an a-hole. It's fine. I sound like one all the time, I guess. But yeah, there's a guy by the name of Ezekiel Elliott that everyone was just so high on. And there's a dude by the name of Tony Pollard that came in the 4th freaking round and got way more carries than him, literally overtook his spot, and now Zeke is all pissed off. I mean, and now no longer a Cowboy. I mean, I hate to say it, nothing against Zeke, but golly, man, if you're that, you better be that. The day of that single guy, there's this guy that used to haunt the Bears. I'm sorry. There's this guy who used to haunt the Bears. However, there was a linebacker who used to always hit him pretty hard too, Mr. Urlacher. But Adrian Peterson was I really do believe he was like the last do-it-all. He was the last, because it's over. The game has evolved. Now you need 2 or 3 like hard-hitting freaking trade. It's like handing off a baton, like in a relay. You know what I mean? You carry the rock for like a good 3 or 4 plays and give everything you possibly can. Now you get in there and do it. You get some water. Now you get in there and do it. Okay, you ready? Now you get back in there. I mean, that's what it is, guys. It's a constant, like how you like I was talking about earlier. You trade in, trade out. Defensive line A and B. You trade them out. Because it's what it's all about now. You have to. You got to keep up with everybody else. So honestly, yeah, let this young man get in there. I'm really excited for him. I think he's going to do very, very, very well for the Bears. And yeah, Mike is very right. Be creative. This guy, I think he's going to really help you win some football games.
That's the hope. That's the ideas we get through here. So. All right, I am looking at the time, and I know that thanks to Taryn, I am good to kind of stretch my legs a little bit. At the same time, I do want to get in a little bit of a break here. So, gentlemen, I understand if one or either of you need to take off. We're going to take just a couple of minutes here, but I wanted to before we do that, I want to thank you both, and please let the audience know where they can find you, where they can hear you on IE Sports Radio during the week. Mike, are you solidly on Fridays now, or is it kind of you're doing the same thing with me, where there's now a newborn in the house and the newborn decides the schedule?
Well, now that I'm not sick and there are no more significant sporting events, to my knowledge, happening on Friday nights, my goal is to, yes, let's whine about DMV Sports to be consistently on Friday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific time. Also follow me on Twitter at letswine_IESR. It's mostly Orioles and Nationals stuff right now, and half of that is great and the other half isn't. So
that's okay. The Orioles still, I owe you a bottle of wine because of those stupid Orioles. Really, it's the stupid White Sox, but that's yeah, we'll get into that a little bit later.
By the way, I will say this, since this is Chi-Town Weekly, I feel good about saying this. The Orioles did not intend to send the White Sox into the downward spiral that ended up happening following our series victory over them. So I do apologize if we were the cause, but that was really not our intention.
Oh, no apologies necessary. That was Tony La Russa. You guys just happened to be the team in line. That was all La Russa. And apparently Rick Hahn ego. But no apology needed there. All right, Larry, the czar of all things IE Sports Radio, the host of a half dozen different things here on the station, a closet Bears fan. We're gonna get you some Bear gear to start wearing. See, when the Bears go bad, they do it on purpose. When the Raiders go bad, they're trying to win.
You hit it on the head there. You hit it on the head. Yeah, no, I'll save my Raiders ranting for 3 and Out, I promise. But I think everybody knows how I feel about that team. And it's the person that we hired from, behind the counter at McDonald's, not quarterback. It's awesome. Anyway, so with that said, yeah, good old Mark Davis. Hey, you look like you play quarterback. Come here. Yeah. Anyway, so with that said, I can stick around. I'm not doing much right now, so I can definitely stick around for just a little bit. But as always, guys, thank you so much. This has been awesome. It's been a lot of fun. Of course, now that everything has kind of died down, including all of my shows, unfortunately, I'm really happy to say that I can start rebooting a lot of them. Catch my beautiful wife, Cecilia, and I on Fridays right before Mr. Mike Patt for the Sports Club Perspectives. We'll be talking, of course, Mr. Adam was on that show a couple of weeks ago, actually about a month and a half ago now, about to talk about the St. Patty's Day Massacre. That was a lot of fun. And we'll be talking draft day because, I did not force her to watch it.
Good for you.
Cricket. Just kidding, no, but we enjoyed. We watched that the other day. We'll be talking about that this week. 3 and Out, of course, making its full-on return coming up. Catch Mike and I, of course, on this Saturday. At 8 a.m. Pacific time, 11 a.m. Eastern. We're going to be talking, recapping the draft. A lot of fun with that. Just stay tuned, guys. Tons of great things going on here at iSports Radio. And if I'm not mistaken, today is 2 weeks away from our 9-year anniversary. I'm thinking of something special for it right now. So trust me, it's going to be great. I just want to say thank you to everybody. This has been awesome. It's been a lot of fun. Thank you, Adam, for having me tonight. Of course, Mike, for being here. You can follow me at the THE_LB53. And of course, follow us all everywhere at iSports Radio because we're pretty much all over the place. So anyway, I can stick around for just a little bit. So there you are, Adam. And thanks again, brother.
All right. And kudos to both of you guys for the draft preview show. When you did that, the draft recap show will be a lot of fun too. All right, we are going to take a very quick little break, just a couple of minutes here. Then when we come back, I want to talk what I think Pohl's overarching strategy was for this. We're going to do just a tiny, itty little bit of baseball to kind of tease next week, and then we will be on our way out. You are listening to Chi-Town Weekly here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We will be right back after this.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Davidson.
It's your boy, Lentarius Locke.
And we are the hosts of Fast Break here on IE Sports Radio, where we discuss everything in the world of basketball from prep to the pros.
You guys should definitely check us out, man. Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We got all the basketball information you guys need, so we look forward to you guys listening in.
And please do, because we are the best basketball show on this side of the Mississippi. And please do check us out on Twitter at FastBreakISR. D-Lock, where's our time again?
8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. That give you guys plenty of time on a Sunday.
Tune in.
Ladies and gentlemen, hear me and hear me good. If you like sports, then you like the Wait a Minute Show. If you like comedy, then you like the Wait a Minute Show. If you like a different opinion coming from a different angle, then you like the Wait a Minute Show. So join me Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with your host, Jelani J.B. Bodie. And of course, my man Lopan on the waitaminuteshow.com. Ain't that right, Lopan?
Hello, sports fans. It's me, your boy Larry B, and I want to walk you through the world of sports. No, not just the mainstream major TV deal type sports, although those are important too. But let me be your guide through your journey of all sports, from college to the pros, the minors, and everything in between. Each week, we are talking sports galore with true diehards just like you from a hardcore fan's perspective that's sure to quench your thirst around leagues you may know all too well and some you may even discover here. That's right, sports fans. If you love sports of all kinds, enjoy hearing amazing sports stories, and respect all sports because you know how difficult any of them can be to play or compete in, then this is your show. Join me, your boy Larry B, on the defining moment each week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports, and let the sports come to you.
What is going on, everybody? My name is Harrison Glazer, and we're coming at you from the Show That Never Sleeps podcast. I cover the Jets, the Islanders, the Nets, and the Yankees.
This is Pierre Moss, and I cover the Mets, Knicks, Rangers, and the Giants.
Our show is live every Wednesday through Spreaker and a bunch of other ways to get our content. Again, we're the Show That Never Sleeps podcast. We talk about all those New York sports. It's a lot of fun. We get into all of it. Please tune in. Again, that's Wednesdays at 6 p.m.
And we look forward to having you guys right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
And welcome back into Chi-Town Weekly here on IE Sports Radio, direct feed for all that is sports. We were talking all kinds of Bears draft for an hour there. We're not going to go that much longer left. We are able to go over a little bit. Not going to go that much more, though, over. But Larry B is still with us. So, Larry, I want to run this past you. I look at what the Bears did in this draft, and I feel like I may have inadvertently stumbled upon Ryan Poles' method to his madness here. Typically, when you're doing a draft, your first 3 rounds, those are the I need these guys to contribute. Maybe they're not all day one starters, but I need these guys to be out on the field, on offense, on their side of the ball, not just on special teams, being regular contributors. You get to the 4th round and on, hey, whatever I can get from you, I can get from you. With that in mind, the Bears' first 4 picks, all trench guys. You've got 3 defensive players, 1 offensive lineman, 3 trench guys, and a corner. I feel, and then after that, all the day 3 guys, with the exception of your guy, Travis Bell, everybody is a skill position guy. I feel like there's a method here of this year, we need to be solid in the trenches. We'll worry about the skill stuff later. Am I onto something here, you think? Oh, yeah. Oh, the bad man is gone. The bad man is gone. He still honked me off, though, because that thing took so long to happen that my initial reaction was, oh, finally. And then it was, wait a minute. The bad man is gone. He's gone. Then it became, damn it, you took that reaction from me, sir. That's okay. I still get to have it. You look at their draft, they went with a wide receiver in the first round, not a corner. I feel like that's a team that knows it got lucky last year and is silently trying to do a rebuild rather than keep going. They know that they can't sustain it. I was looking ahead of time, from USA Sports, the For the Win section, they ranked all teams' drafts. Not only were the Bears their highest draft from the NFC North, they were the only team in the top half of the NFL. Not only were they in the top half of the NFL, they were in the top 10. They were the 8th ranked draft from this year. Meanwhile, I think what came in next in the NFC North was the Packers down at about 17. So it was leaps and bounds in front of the rest of the division. I know one source, one opinion, but Oh, wait, we're supposed to block the defensive lineman? Oh, I thought Justin was supposed to just run and make magic happen. And he's damn good at making magic happen. I'd take hugging. I would take hugging over what we saw some of last year, which was just like, oh, man, I can't block him. You see how big he is? I'm getting out of the way. No. At least get in his way. At least make him take a step to the right before he eats your quarterback for lunch. Something. Do something. You know, I was on Dom Robinson last year because of the, wide receiver converted to defensive end. You're on Mr. Bell from Kennesaw State. I love it. I love it. Real quick before we have to go here, one of the few misses from all this, from both the free agency standpoint and the drafting standpoint for the Bears had no pass rush a season ago, and they haven't done really anything to add that. They have added no edge rushers of substance. Edge rush was thought to be such a deep position in this class. Is this a philosophy of just we start in the middle and that will improve the edge rush, or simply Pujols has been steadfast that this is going to be a multi-year process? Right. White, probably. Yeah. Yeah, they've effectively done nothing to add to the edge rush this offseason. You're still, Travis Gibson is your number one, followed by Dom Robb, who's a converted wide receiver. Yes, they did add Tremaine Edwards from Tennessee, but that's a guy who in 6 years has 19 sacks in the NFL. This class was deep at defensive end. They added none. It was 1, then it became 9, then it became 10. It felt like a great draft on paper. Now we've got OTAs, mini camps. We'll have training camp here in about 2.5, 3 months. We'll start to learn some more about these guys and what they've got, but at least for right now, it looks really good. All right, Larry, I know that the call that we are on is about to close up, so thank you once again for jumping on. I really appreciate it. This is a lot of fun. These are fun shows that I get to do. Hey, there you go. There you go. Those are always good to do. All right, sounds good. That is the one, the only Larry B, everybody. You can catch him all throughout various times on the station, the Sports Couple Perspective on Friday evenings with his lovely wife, Cecilia. All right. Rather than take a break, we're just going to kind of wrap this up. I do want to move to baseball for just a quick second, as the calendar has officially closed now from April and on to May. If you're the White Sox, good riddance. That was a miserable, miserable, miserable month of April to start the season for the White Sox. They've got the night off tonight before taking on the Minnesota Twins. They come into town. The Sox finished up April 8-21. Ugh. We will be diving in a little bit more in depth to what is wrong with the White Sox. Meanwhile, the Cubs had themselves kind of a nice April, better than expected, 14-13 overall. Yes, they did get swept in Miami. That was unfortunate. We got to discuss that. But all in all, things were looking up, surprisingly up for the Cubs. So we will be discussing that next week at some length. That is going to do it. We went a little long. We were able to stretch our legs a little bit. We were able to get our geek on, get our nerd on over the draft that was. And that was a little bit of a break from football, I think, at least for 1 week. We will be very light on football next week. We want to get into baseball some bit. Talk Cubs, talk White Sox. We're going to go in depth on those guys next week. Then, of course, we'll have to talk NFL again after that because the scheduling will be out. And while we already know who the opponents are, we'll have the order. And so many people think that that is just so important, that the order, we know what it is. Huge shout-outs and thank yous tonight. Everybody that contributed to the show: Seth Eaves, Corey Pujols, Larry B., Mike Patt. Thank you all, gentlemen, so very, very much. Taryn Rodriguez hanging out in the chat room with us tonight. Thank you for that, sir. And thank you for letting me kind of come into Set Point space a little bit. You can hear Set Point tomorrow afternoon. Check Twitter, check IE Sports Radio for the exact time. I believe it's at 4 o'clock Central. Tomorrow afternoon is when Taryn will be on. You can catch myself and Zach Puplis right back here tomorrow night. This time tomorrow night, 8 o'clock tomorrow night, we will be talking all things NHL, the neutral zone. We had 2 Game 7s last night. We had a Game 7 going on tonight. Upsets galore in the NHL playoffs. Lots for us to discuss there. Tons of other shows going on tomorrow. Check the full listings. Lots to go through. Thank you to our Patreon supporters, Bay Area Raised, Emlos Great, Kinky, and Anonymous for your support. Finally, thank you for coming and listening and making this part of your weekly sports adventure. I'm so glad that you're here. Tell your friends. Let's have some fun with this. Until next time, I am Adam Karnick. This is Chi-Town Weekly, all part of IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Be safe, be healthy, stay dry, and we will see you next week, everybody.